structural insulated panels, or SIPs, are building panels consisting of a rigid foam insulation core sandwiched between two structural sheathing layers. They are commonly used for exterior walls and roof assemblies. When performing a rough inspection of homes constructed with SIP, inspectors face a unique challenge: the electrical wiring is often concealed within the panels. Even with concealed wiring, inspectors can still conduct thorough rough inspections by employing several techniques. Firstly, infrared imaging proves to be a valuable tool. Infrared cameras can detect heat signatures emanating from behind the panels, effectively revealing the presence and location of electrical wiring. The principle behind this is that electrical wires carrying current generate heat, which the infrared camera can detect, even through the insulation. Secondly, radio frequency signal detection offers another non-invasive method. Special devices can detect radio frequency signals emitted by electrical wires, even when those wires are embedded within the SIP. This technology leverages the fact that alternating current flowing through wires generates electromagnetic radiation that can be detected. Thirdly, some SIP homes are designed with inspection windows. These small windows are strategically placed in the framing to allow for direct visual inspection of the wiring within the panels. These windows provide a clear view of the wiring runs and connections, enabling a traditional visual inspection. Fourthly, inspectors can examine penetrations through the panels. These penetrations, made for plumbing, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, or heating, ventilation, and air conditioning or HVAC systems, can provide clues about the location of electrical wiring. By carefully inspecting these access points, inspectors can infer the routing of electrical cables within the walls. Now let's consider the relevant code requirements for SIP homes. Firstly, the International Building Code, or IBC, specifically addresses SIP in Chapter 23, which covers exterior wall coverings. Section 2314 of the IBC focuses specifically on structural insulated panels. Secondly, the National Electrical Code, or NEC, contains provisions relevant to electrical installations in all types of buildings, including SIP homes. Article 314 of the NEC covers junction boxes, pull boxes, and hand-tool enclosures, which are essential components of electrical wiring systems. Article 600 of the NEC addresses electric signs and outline lighting, which may be relevant depending on the specific features of the SIP home. Thirdly, the International Residential Code, or IRC, also addresses SIP, particularly in Chapter 12, which deals with foam plastic insulation. Section R1203 of the IRC specifically addresses structural insulated panels. When inspecting SIP homes, it's crucial to consult with the manufacturer or designer of the SIP system being used. They can provide specific details about the panel construction, wiring pathways, and any unique considerations. Reviewing the electrical drawings and specifications is also essential. These documents provide valuable information about the planned layout of the electrical wiring, including the location of outlets, switches, and other electrical devices. When cutting or drilling into SIP, exercise extreme caution to avoid damaging the insulation or compromising the structural integrity of the panels. Use appropriate tools and techniques to minimize the risk of damage. Encourage electricians to label and mark wiring runs clearly. This practice will improve future accessibility for maintenance and repairs, making it easier to identify and work on specific circuits. In addition to these inspection techniques and code considerations, there are other important factors to keep in mind when dealing with SIP homes. SIP homes require careful attention to moisture management. Proper sealing and ventilation are essential to prevent condensation and potential structural damage caused by moisture accumulation within the panels. The energy efficiency of SIP homes can be affected by air leakage. Ensuring proper sealing and insulation is crucial to maximize energy savings and maintain a comfortable indoor environment. SIP homes may exhibit different sun transmission characteristics compared to traditional homes. Soundproofing measures may be necessary to minimize noise transfer between rooms or from the exterior. Now let's delve deeper into the specific code requirements and best practices for electrical installations in SIP. The NEC provides detailed guidelines for wiring methods, grounding, overcurrent protection, and other aspects of electrical safety. Understanding and adhering to these requirements is crucial to ensure a safe and reliable electrical system. When running wires through SIP, it's important to use appropriate wiring methods that are suitable for concealed installations. These methods typically involve using conduit, electrical metallic tubing or EMT, or armored cable to protect the wires from physical damage. Pay close attention to the fill capacity of conduits and boxes. Overfilling can lead to overheating and potentially hazardous conditions. Ensure that all electrical boxes are properly secured to the SIP and that they provide adequate support for the wiring devices. Grounding is a critical aspect of electrical safety. Ensure that all metal parts of the electrical system, including boxes, conduits, and equipment, are properly grounded to provide a path for fault current to flow back to the source, tripping the circuit breaker or fuse and preventing electrical shock. Use appropriately sized circuit breakers or fuses to protect wiring and equipment from overloads and short circuits. Improper overcurrent protection can lead to overheating, fire, and equipment damage. When making connections, use approved connectors and ensure that they are properly tightened to provide a secure and reliable electrical connection. Loose connections can cause arcing, overheating, and potentially fire. Be mindful of the potential for thermal bridging in SIP. Thermal bridging occurs when heat can easily pass through a conductive material such as metal that extends through the insulation. Minimize thermal bridging by using non-conductive materials whenever possible and by properly insulating around penetrations. Consider the impact of electrical wiring on the structural integrity of the SIP. Avoid cutting or drilling large holes that could weaken the panels. If necessary, consult with a structural engineer to ensure that any modifications do not compromise the structural performance of the SIP. Pay attention to the potential for moisture accumulation around electrical boxes and wiring penetration. Seal these areas carefully to prevent moisture from entering the SIP and causing damage. When installing recessed lighting fixtures in SIP ceilings, use fixtures that are specifically designed for insulated ceilings and that have appropriate thermal protection. Improperly installed recessed lighting can overheat and pose a fire hazard. Consider the potential for electromagnetic interference or ME from electrical wiring. If sensitive electronic equipment will be used in the SIP home, take steps to minimize EMI by using shielded cables and by separating wiring from sensitive equipment. Ensure that all electrical work is performed by qualified and licensed electricians who are familiar with SIP construction techniques and code requirements. Now, let's discuss some additional considerations related to the long-term performance and maintenance of electrical systems in SIP homes. Regularly inspect electrical panels, outlets, and switches for any signs of damage or wear. Replace any damaged components promptly to prevent potential hazards. Keep electrical panels clear of obstructions to ensure proper ventilation and prevent overheating. Test ground fault circuit interrupters or GFCIs regularly to ensure that they are functioning properly. GFCIs are designed to protect against electrical shock in wet locations, such as bathrooms and kitchens. Consider installing surge protectors to protect sensitive electronic equipment from power surges. Power surges can damage electronic devices and appliances. Keep a record of all electrical work performed in the SIP home, including permits, inspections, and repairs. This record will be helpful for future maintenance and troubleshooting. If you plan to make any modifications to the electrical system, consult with a qualified electrician and obtain the necessary permits before starting work. When working on electrical systems, always turn off the power at the main breaker and follow safe work practices to prevent electrical shock. Remember that electricity can be dangerous, and it's always best to err on the side of caution. Now let's shift our focus to some emerging technologies and trends in electrical systems for SIP homes. Smart home technology is becoming increasingly popular, allowing homeowners to control lighting, temperature, security, and other systems remotely. When installing smart home devices in SIP homes, it's important to consider the wiring requirements and to ensure that the devices are compatible with the electrical system. Renewable energy systems, such as solar panels and wind turbines, are also becoming more common in SIP homes. When integrating renewable energy systems into the electrical system, it's important to follow all applicable codes and standards and to ensure that the system is properly grounded and protected. Energy-efficient lighting, such as light-emitting diodes or LED, is a great way to reduce energy consumption in SIP homes. LED use significantly less energy than traditional incandescent bulbs and have a much longer lifespan. Electric vehicle charging stations are becoming increasingly popular as electric vehicles gain wider adoption. When installing an electric vehicle charging station in a SIP home, it's important to consider the electrical load and to ensure that the electrical system can handle the additional demand. As technology continues to evolve, electrical systems in SIP homes will become even more sophisticated and energy efficient. By staying informed about the latest trends and technologies, inspectors, electricians, and homeowners can ensure that SIP homes are safe, comfortable, and sustainable. Finally, let's address some common misconceptions about electrical systems in SIP homes. Some people believe that SIP are inherently more difficult to wire than traditional homes. While it's true that wiring SIP requires some specialized techniques, it's not necessarily more difficult than wiring other types of homes. With proper planning and execution, electrical installations in SIP can be just as efficient and reliable as in traditional homes. Another misconception is that SIP are not suitable for electrical renovations. While it's true that renovating electrical systems in SIP can be challenging, it's certainly possible with careful planning and execution. By using appropriate techniques and tools, electricians can safely and effectively upgrade or modify electrical systems in SIP homes. Some people also believe that SIP are more prone to electrical problems than traditional homes. However, there's no evidence to support this claim. In fact, when properly designed and installed, electrical systems in SIP can be just as reliable and safe as in traditional homes. In conclusion, inspecting electrical wiring in SIP homes requires a thorough understanding of SIP construction techniques, code requirements, and best practices. By employing the techniques and considerations discussed here, inspectors, electricians, and homeowners can ensure that electrical systems in SIP homes are safe, reliable, and energy efficient. Furthermore, remember that continuous education and training are crucial for staying up to date with the latest developments in SIP construction and electrical systems. Attend workshops, seminars, and conferences to expand your knowledge and skills. Network with other professionals in the industry to share best practices and learn from their experiences. By investing in your professional development, you can provide the highest level of service to your clients and contribute to the advancement of the SIP industry. And do not forget that collaboration between architects, engineers, builders, electricians, and inspectors is essential for successful SIP projects. Effective communication and teamwork can help to prevent problems and ensure that the project is completed safely, efficiently, and to the highest standards. Let's not forget that sustainable building practices are becoming increasingly important in the construction industry. SIP are inherently energy efficient, but it's important to consider the environmental impact of all aspects of the construction process, including electrical systems. Use energy-efficient materials and appliances, minimize waste, and recycle materials wherever possible. By adopting sustainable building practices, we can reduce our environmental footprint and create a more sustainable future. In addition to the technical aspects of electrical systems in SIP homes, it's also important to consider the human element. Electrical safety is paramount, and it's essential to educate homeowners about the potential hazards of electricity and how to prevent accidents. Provide clear and concise instructions on how to use electrical appliances safely and how to respond to electrical emergencies. Encourage homeowners to have their electrical systems inspected regularly by qualified electricians. By empowering homeowners with knowledge and awareness, we can create a safer environment for everyone. Electrical installations in SIP homes are constantly evolving, so it's important to stay informed about the latest trends and technologies. Embrace innovation and be willing to experiment with new approaches. By pushing the boundaries of what's possible, we can create electrical systems that are more efficient, reliable, and sustainable. Always remember that electrical work can be dangerous, and it's essential to prioritize safety above all else. Follow all applicable codes and standards, use appropriate personal protective equipment, and never take shortcuts. By adhering to the highest safety standards, we can protect ourselves and others from electrical hazards. The electrical systems are a vital component of any SIP home. By following the guidelines and considerations outlined in this discussion, we can ensure that electrical systems in SIP homes are safe, reliable, energy efficient, and sustainable. And remember that continuous learning, collaboration, and a commitment to safety are essential for success in the ever-evolving world of electrical installations.